Good.
It will go away.
Great. So you were able to distance yourself from the unhappiness, right? And say, well, it'll go away. All right. How about you?
My response is similar. It comes to a point where you have to let go of it.
All right.
And realize that you are the one that has the power, not the thing over you.
Okay, a similar response. It's like you're the one who have to let go of it, did you say? Okay. Look, when you're able to do this repeatedly, again and again, the general universal experience is the following. Gee, this thing upset me. First step. Second step. It wasn't this thing that upset me. It was my programming that upset me. Oh, so I don't have to deploy all of my energies fighting that outside thing, right? All right, right. I don't have to spend all my emotional energies blaming that outside thing. That's right. Funny, this thing gets depleted. It keeps going down. You know, because as long as I've got an enemy out there who's upsetting me, I'm demanding that change. I'm refusing to give up my upset unless that thing change. Am I clear enough? Like if I think, would you give me your name? PJ. Now if I think PJ is upsetting me, then as long as he's there and he's indulging in the behavior which I say is upsetting me, I'm refusing to give up my upset unless he reform, he change, he disappear, he get away or whatever. Right? But let's suppose PJ refuses to get away. Let's suppose it isn't PJ but it's life. And life persists in being that way. So I continue to be upset. Now the moment I say, hey, wait a minute, it isn't PJ, it isn't life, it's my programming. Oh, is that what it is? That's right. You know, he could be right there doing exactly what he's doing now, and I needn't be upset. Other people in my position wouldn't be upset. It's my programming. Oh, that's a revelation. And the upset is going down, 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 down. And after a while, you're getting less and less upset about fewer and fewer things. Am I clear enough? Am I? Okay. Now comes the big, pardon me, huh? I don't mean to be insulting or anything, but you're going to enjoy this. Now comes the big American question. How do we fix it? Like, okay, he's not upsetting me. I'm not upsetting me. The programming is upsetting me. How do I fix this? You know the big Oriental answer? You don't fix it. You let it be. It'll go away. The more you try to fix it, the stronger it gets. Gee, that's another mind-blowing thing. Don't fix it. Let it be. Let it be. It'll go away. It really will. If you've seen this, but don't I need to know where this programming comes from? It's a help, but not necessary. And if you're hell-bent on getting it, I've got to find it out where it comes from, and I got to change it, you're going to make it worse. You can be sure of that. Lots of people never change because they're so determined to change. They're so determined that they never change. They're so tense, they're so anxious that it gets worse. So here's another thing that particularly people in the West and in the East, we're all the same. You know, the kind of stuff I give you here, I give in Japan, and I give in India, and I give in Spain, and Latin America, and everywhere the people are the same. You've got a thin veneer of culture that's different, but deep down we're all the same. Same problems everywhere. The hatred is the same, the conflict is the same, the guilt is the same, the dependence on people's opinion and on the emotional dependence on approval is the same. It's exactly the same. Just scrape off the exterior culture, and we're all the same. Now, everywhere people are trying to fix it too. How do I change it? You don't change it. You understand it. You look at it. You observe it. It'll take care of itself. Then what happens is you don't change it. Life changes it. Nature changes it. The way you don't heal yourself, nature heals itself. You just do something to aid nature. So let me wrap this up, and we take a kind of a 7-minute break to field questions in case I've not been clear enough. And to aid the questions, I'll make it a little more outrageous, okay? I'll make it a bit more outrageous. When something happens that we commonly say upsets you, it isn't this thing that upsets you. Life is not rough on you. Life is easy. It's your programming that is rough on you. Life is easy. Life is delightful. Think of my friend Ram Chandra, the rickshaw puller. All right. So it isn't this thing outside there that's causing the upset. It isn't you that are causing the upset. It's your programming. You got people you're living with. You're having difficulty in human relations. Human relations are never difficult. It's your programming that's difficult. There are never any difficulties in relating to people. There are only difficulties in your programming. How come you're getting upset? You mean it's possible to live with a guy who's losing his temper every day and not get upset? Yes, yes, very much so. Not be upset. You mean when somebody insults you, you're not getting upset? That's right. Why not? Why not be upset when someone insults you? I mean, when the letter isn't received, it's sent back to the man who wrote it or the woman who wrote it. You don't receive it, it goes back. How come you received it? You know why you got insulted or why you were upset by the insult? Because you took it, that's why. Silly. Why did you take it? You mean it's possible not to take it? You mean you call this being human, living like a little monkey? Anyone pulls a string and you jump? I'll tell you what it means to be human. You know what it means to be human is, it's something like this. A guy goes and buys a newspaper every day from a newspaper vendor. The newspaper vendor is always rude to him. So a friend of his says, why do you buy your paper from this guy? He's always rude to you. Why don't you buy it from someone else, just next door? Says this guy, why should the vendor decide where I buy my newspaper? Why should he have the power to decide that? Now you're talking about a human being. Otherwise you're talking about monkeys. You could control them, just twist their tail a little and they act in predictable ways. Programming. Programming. So it isn't the person who has upset you. It isn't you who have upset yourself. It's your programming. All you have to do is understand this and distance yourself from it. Understand it. You want to do something about that programming? If you can, fine. Is it necessary? No. If you're understanding it, you know it comes from your programming, not from you, not from them. It'll take care of itself. It really will. You'll be amazed that after a few months, things that before would have made you sick with anxiety or with suffering or with whatever, you can take in your stride with perfect peace. You're quite relaxed about. That's the spiritual life. That's dying to yourself, dropping that programming. You drop it by understanding it for what it is. Call it by its name. All right, we have a couple of calls. I think Scranton's on the line. So we'd...
Hello,
okay,
Tony.
yes.
This is Jane Mascaro.
Well,
I'm calling
welcome,
from the
Jane.
University of Scranton,
Great.
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
3 questions. First, in the world you described, is it possible to sin? The second, do we liberate ourselves, or does Christ's grace free us? And the third, may I not take action, even though I am not upset at an injustice I see? If somebody jumps in line ahead of me, I'm not going to let them upset me. But may I take